Howdy, welcome there. This is for November 7th. I am at Federal Way High School. I will be back near the end of class because of student-led conferences which happen today, tomorrow, and the next day, and I hope to see you there. First things first, again, I just wanted to make sure that you know that when you get the green worksheet today, this is going to be homework for this class, and it will be entered for a grade under the employability standard. So make sure that you turn in this activity by the end of class today, or else it may not go in right away. Or that you are turning it in on Monday when I see you again. So the first thing is first, and we're going to go over the green worksheet. So before moving on in this video, please make sure that every single person has a green worksheet in front of them and is ready to go to take notes. We'll do the first 2 or 3 problems together, and then I'm going to have the rest of it be up to you. There is an answer key in the substitute activity information, so just make sure that as you go that you check your work. So we've been talking a little bit the last time you had a sub about inequalities. This is multi-step inequalities, and I just wanted to remind you of a couple of things. We are going to do some interval notation. Interval notation is another way of expressing your answer in an inequality. So we use parentheses or brackets, so these are parentheses and brackets right here, to show where the graph starts and ends. So if we have a curved bracket or a curved parenthesis, this means that it's not included or open. So that's similar to the open dot that we saw before. And when we use it when you have a graph that is starting or ending with an open circle. This is called a square bracket, and it's when we include the value, or there's a closed dot. So that would be any time that I have something like less than or equal to, or greater than or equal to is when I'd use this symbol, and then if I used greater than or strictly less than is when I would use that symbol. So when we go do these problems, I'm going to zoom in just a little bit on these. This is example 1 on your activity, and we want to solve, graph, and then write the following information in interval notation. So when we start doing this problem, the first thing that you notice is that we need to use the distributive property here. So 4 times x and 4 times 3, so it's 4x plus 12 is greater than negative 24. I'll give you a second to write that down. We use the distributive property to do this. And then my next step will be to use the subtraction property of equality to subtract 12 from both sides of the equality, the inequality. So I'm left with 4x. The inequality stays the same, and negative 24 minus 12 is negative 36. So to get x all by itself, we will need to divide both sides by 4. Use the division property, divide both sides by 4. And x is greater than 9. And so we are going to graph that. So we'll bust over to our graph area. And again, we're doing x is greater than 9. So I need to label my grid with things around 9. So 9, 10, 11, there's 8, and there's 7. So if x is greater than 9, remember we use an open circle. This is an open circle activity. So we're going to put an open circle at 9, and we're going to shade everything bigger in that direction. Maybe I'll do that with a red pen just to make it look a little different. So an open circle and a red arrow for everything bigger, because like 10 is bigger than 9, 11 is bigger than 9, all of those things. When we write it in interval notation, we're thinking about an open circle. So on the lowest side, we need an open parenthesis, so a soft parenthesis, 9, and then it goes all the way to infinity. It goes forever and ever and ever. So we write it like this, and we have a close parenthesis a parenthesis on infinity. So if you don't understand the interval notation, do the best you can, but just notice that it starts here at 9, and then it goes forever in that direction. And then if it went, and it could go to negative infinity in the other direction. Okay, moving along. So I will keep this up so that you can see it still. So notice here that we are distributing a -3 before we do anything else. So distribute that -3 there, the -3 there, and I'm going to rewrite x minus 3x minus 6, 6, let's make that cleaner, 6 is greater than 4. X is greater than 4. This stuff is greater than 4. Well, x minus 3x, well, that's negative 2x is minus 6 is greater than 4. I just combined like terms. Now I need to use the addition property to add 6 to both sides. And I'm left with negative 2x is greater than 10. Now, here's where it gets, this is this weird rule that when we divide by -2, and I'll explain this a little bit more on Monday, when we divide by a negative number, we're dividing by -2, while they cancel out and we get x, we have to flip the sign. So this sign actually changes directions, and 10 divided by 2 is -5. -5. Let's make that a little bit nicer. Here, negative 5. So whenever we divide by a negative number, the sign flips. X is less than -5. And I hope in the next one you'll see that as well, as we're going to end up dividing by, hopefully we'll see that, by a negative number. So if I'm changing the sign, I'm flipping the sign anytime I divide by a negative number. So we're going to graph this. So at -5, -4, -3, we got -6, -7, and x is at -5, and this is an open circle at -5, and we're shading x is less than -5, everything less than -5. So we shade everything that's less than -5. The way that we write this in interval notation is that it's the lowest number is negative infinity because it goes all the way down in this direction, all the way down to negative infinity. So the smallest number is negative infinity, and the biggest number that it could be is 5. And because it's an open circle, it's just a parenthesis. Now, this last problem is particularly interesting because it really highlights some of, oh my goodness, why is that not moving with me? That's weird. So it looks like you're going to have to copy this down, and then we're going to have to, I'm going to have to erase it as I move forward. All right, hopefully I paused the video and rewrote it, so if it was just jumping to something different, it's because now it moves. Yay, it all moves now. So this last one, we've got to solve the inequality before we start doing anything really with it. And it turns out that this won't have a divide by negative in it. So if I notice that I need to distribute, so I'm distributing -2 to both things, so 7x stays the same, -2x, and -2 times -4, double negative makes a positive, so plus 8 is less than or equal to -2. I'm going to combine like terms, so that ends up being 5x plus 8 is less than or equal to -2. I have to use the subtraction property of equality to subtract that 8. I'm left with 5x is less than or equal to -10. And then divide both sides by 5. To get the x all by itself, divide by 5. X is less than or equal to -2. And so this is what we are going to end up graphing. X is less than or equal to -2. Oh my goodness, why is it still not moving? This is really bizarre and really frustrating as well. Sorry, it's just being kind of strange to me today. So I guess I can do this from here. So if I have x is less than or equal to negative 2, I got negative 2, negative 1, negative 3, negative 4. I can do this from here. So x is less than or equal to. So this is where I've got that solid filled in dot because it could be equal to. And then I'm going to shade everything less than that and make this big arrow. So when I do my interval notation and I because I can't change the slide and move it around, it's really frustrating. The interval notation, on the low end, it's going to be negative infinity because it goes to negative infinity. And on the upper end, it ends at negative 2. And I'm going to use a hard bracket because of that equal sign. X is less than or equal to negative 2. The equal sign there makes the bracket hard. All right, so my expectation is that you finish the rest of this page for classwork. When you're finished with the homework, make sure that you turn it in. We are working on the green activity today. You should complete the green activity and homework for today's class. I look forward to receiving a good report when I get back. I will see you at student-led conferences, which start tonight.